Go ahead, aim the gun at the target. What I'm going to take you through is the platform check. First thing I'm going to do is what's called a pull test. And I just I can do it on the muzzle of the dummy gun, obviously not a real gun. Or I can just use the hands. I'm just going to push to the rear and apply force and see, can I move him back? He's got a pretty solid stance, so I can't really move him back very easily. Then I let go, and there's not a whole aggressive spring forward. So he's standing very stable and has a good forward center of gravity that's not letting recoil push him back very much.
Maybe a little too locked in the elbows, though, you think?
Yeah. So that's the first part of that. The next check I'll do is a pulse, where I'll actually hit his hands. Recoil is more of a pulsing action than a constant pull. And then eventually I'm going to miss. And what I'm looking for is any reaction here, and that's telling me, is he pushing back against that force? What we're actually looking for in high performance shooting is holding still while we're shooting fast. In other words, you just stand static and let the gun do what it does. You've already created a very strong grip and stance platform, so just let it happen. So all you're gonna do is stand there and let me do that. And when I miss, nothing happens. That's what we want. That's the first two parts. Now we move into the grip. Go ahead and aim the gun. What I'm going to do is I'm going to check tension in the right wrist by torquing upward on the gun here. And what I'm looking for is resistance and a return. What I want you to do is don't change anything. In other words, all you're going to do is stand here and hold the gun and let me move it. And I'm just checking to see what you do when there's no recoil at all. So we've got a little bit of a lack of stiffness here that we can change. But first I'm going to check the other wrist. We have a two-handed grip. We should probably use 100% of available hands to control the gun, right? So what I'm going to do is isolate your left wrist. I'm going to hold the bottom of the hand here, and I'm going to push up while I control the left forearm. So I push up, and I see, can I flex that? What I want you to do is stiffen using the bottom of your forearm, rotational force forward. Has nothing to do with how hard you squeeze your hands. Using the bottom of your forearm here, just like you would rotate your wrist forward, set that stiffness in the right wrist and in the left wrist as you hold the gun. Just that wrist tension is going to keep this gun shooting a lot flatter. What I want you to do when you set that is it's constant every time you grip the gun. Nothing happens in reaction to a gunshot or recoil. All you're doing is constantly gripping the gun right. Occasionally you'll pull the trigger, fire the gun. The whole recoil process happens automatically. You don't have to do anything extra. So you've got that set stiff. So now when I torque, there's resistance and a return. That's exactly it. So if you watch the levelness here, or you watch your sights, you can see it through my thumb there. When I let go, I don't want it to return lower. I just want it to go back to the same alignment. And then I check the other wrist, just like that. Same thing. Awesome. Next, I just want to make sure we don't want to lock the wrists out. But another part of the arm that can flex and allow the gun to lift is the elbow. So what we're going to do is straighten the arm. We're not going to lock the elbow, but we're going to apply some forward pressure through the tricep. So go ahead, aim the gun, and basically through here, you're extending there. And what I check is, can I move this back when if you look at your elbows here, as I push back, you can see they're coming back a little bit, because that's physics and I can do that. And when I let it go, they spring back. What that tells me is these are straightening, and they're not going to basically limp noodle on us when we fire the gun, so it's not allowing the gun to travel up too much. So from here forward controls most of what you're going to do on a 9mm. One other area for us to improve that most people don't think about is the shoulders. So when most people shoot a gun, go ahead and aim the gun, they roll their shoulders forward trying to fight recoil. Recoil is a front to back motion that you can't really fight. But what direction do the sights move when you pull the trigger? Up. Up. What I'm going to have you do, instead of rolling the shoulders forward, I'm going to actually have you use the shoulders and the back to hold constantly down, just like you're driving a fence post into the ground. So now, when I push up, I want to feel resistance and an automatic return. So you see, when I let go, that snaps back to the same place because there's set muscular tension that's constant, taking it back to the same place. As opposed to if you just relax your shoulders or rolling forward, and you see it kind of lazy, I don't want you to try to pull it back down, just hold still. That's gravity when it's kind of lazy like that. Now you hold the shoulders actively down, it snaps back, and that's a muscular return. So that's, in a compressed period of time, a whole lot about grip and all the forces at work that keep the gun tracking flat, so that when you fire the gun, if these are your sights, you see them return to the same alignment. All of those things in aggregate, grip and stance, enable this sight alignment to return to being level, and the placement of all of this to return back into the target area.
Stand by.
Ah, little.
What the heck?
That was awesome.
940. Not bad.
That was all right. It would have been like 8 and change if it weren't for me missing that little guy like a bunch.
What do you think about Becca?
I think I blinked and he
Yeah.
was gone.
I had to save one to interrogate him.